Hi again, everyone. Ken from Whittling Woods on a nice rainy day. Good day to stay inside and get some whittling done. Hope you enjoyed the quick little introduction there. Anyway, today's video, how to get started whittling today, will be focusing on this right here. It's a little pawn for a chess set. You can, as you'll see later on, I'll talk about how you can expand this figure to a very simple design, how you can expand it to form maybe a rook, a knight, the bishop, and queen and king as well, and create yourself a little chess set. It'll take some time to do. There's quite a number of pieces, but it's a good way to get started. It's a fairly simple project. This will teach you symmetry, being as precise as possible in your cuts. Again, it's okay if it's not perfect. It's whittling, and being handmade, is always a nice thing to see. So anyway, we'll get started. I'll get these cleaned up, and we'll talk about the measurements that you need to consider when you're whittling this piece, and take it from there. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. Basically, it's this same piece, similar piece of wood that we've used in the other videos. It's approximately 3/4 of an inch this way, all the way across. Also, you'll start with that. You can get your piece. This is just that basic piece of pine from the big box store, nothing fancy. And as you can see here, you're going to mark 1 3/4 inches. This is going to be the bottom. In other words, this portion of the piece. You're going to mark it right here, 1 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to give you some time to mark down these measurements. So start with 1 3/4. If you want to change them slightly, you'll be able to see the other measurements, and be able to modify them if you so choose. So again, 1 3/4. Next, we're going to mark a few other lines here. A 1/4 inch down, it's basically going to cover this section of the piece. Another 1/4 inch for this section of the piece. Another 1/4 of an inch for this part. 3/4 of an inch from here to here, basically. And then another 1/4 inch for the base. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to give you some time to mark these measurements down if you choose to use measurements similar to what I'm using. And again, the width of the piece is 3/4 of an inch. All right, I hope you got those measurements down. I'm going to get my knife ready to go, and we'll start whittling. Be right back. Today we're going to use the Rough Rider pocket knife. I believe the last video we used the Stanley 199. You can also use that as well in this, or a dedicated wood carving whittling knife that you may have. We're going to move through this fairly quickly. It's basically a lot of push cuts and stop cuts. It's pretty straightforward. What I like to do is go along the edge of the piece a little bit first. So go right around and just do that. If you can, do your best to keep the pieces fairly consistent across. If it's a little off, again, not too big a deal. The next thing I like to do is take down the bulk of it here. You're going to start right on your line and just go straight up. Push cut straight up. Pretty simple. Again, start on your line. Push cut straight up. So there you go. You can go back. Again, I like to chamfer the edges just a bit. Looks better, feels better in the hand, I believe. There you go. Next one here, we're going to make some stop cuts. We're going to start at the basically the second line down here, go into the wood, and then we're going to start at the third line down and cut up to that. So again, it's kind of similar to what we did on the top, just you're making the stop cut first. There you go. And then we're going to, again, do the same thing we did on the top. We're going to start at the third line. Well, actually, first, what I want to do is make a stop cut and start cutting up to that. You may have to do the stop cut a couple times. So it's kind of a similar cut that you've made on the top, but starting with a stop cut. And go right around and do the same thing. And then the last cut here. All right, so there you go. And then next cut we're going to do is going to bring from the second line down to the third line. And this cut you can do in a variety of ways. I like to, again, I like to start this with a cut on the edge here. So I'm going to go right down. Take your time, be careful with this one. You're cutting in the direction of your hand, so you want to be careful and secure the knife and with your other thumb so it doesn't slip. And just basically go down to that third line. And go right around. I'm just going to widen that one a bit more. So there you go. Okay. And then again, starting from the second line down to the third line. Take your time, be careful, and cut that away. Go right around and do it on all four sides. There you go. Again, pretty straightforward. Just take down the edges a little bit on the bottom here. Alrighty. If your sides aren't perfectly symmetrical, don't worry about it too much. You can always go back and make some corrections. Bring it in a little bit more and take a look at it from different angles and see. Again, this is more skill building exercise. If you do enough of these, you'll get pretty good at it, and you have yourself a little chess set when it's all done. Okay, for the next part here, we're going to make stop cuts on the third line, and we're going to cut up to that. So again, let's do the edges first. So cut into the wood, make your stop cuts, and then cut up to them. Go right around, do the same thing. Okay. And then same process, basically. We're going to make stop cuts at that third line and start cutting up to it. So make your stop cut. You can do it in multiple steps here. No use trying to get it all at once. And so cut up to it, depending on how much you want to go in. There you go. And then we're just going to go all the way around and do the same thing. And then here we are on the last one. Stop cuts and then cut up to that stop cut mark. And trim off that excess wood. There you go. Go back around, clean anything up you see. And then again, like I said, I like to just take down the edge just a bit. Alrighty. Pretty straightforward. Not a lot of complicated cuts here. It's just taking your time. I believe this is a good exercise to do to build this skill of symmetry on pieces. If you do little figure carvings, symmetry is probably not as important. There's a lot, you have a lot more freedom to be slightly asymmetrical if need be. But on pieces like this, it does make a difference. All right, we're down to the last few cuts here. So we're going to go along our base, and we're going to cut from the bottom line here all the way up to which would be basically our fourth line. So we're going to put some stop cuts in here, and then cut right up to that. Again, this is fairly straightforward. You're only doing stop cuts and push cuts. That's it. There's really nothing else more complicated to that. So anyone with any sharp knife can do this. It's not all that complicated at all. It's actually a real nice little beginner project to do, and hopefully enjoyable. And then we're going to go around after making all those little edge cuts. We're going to go around and do the same thing we've been doing. Put a stop cut in and then cut up to it. All right, and the last one here, again, the stop cut and then cut right up to it. Pretty straightforward. Bring down your edges just a bit, as you so choose. And then what I also like to do, I go back and I basically bring the edge down in the opposite direction on all these, on this and this part of here. So I just kind of bring it down a little bit. Again, this is just stylistic. You can certainly not do this part at all. I just kind of like doing it that way. Kind of take some of the hardness off the edge there, since these are going to be handled quite a bit. And then the same thing, just maybe it's creating like a slight chamfer on the edge there. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with this piece up here. Alrighty, there you go. That's a quick little video on how to make yourself a little chess pawn. Nothing too complicated, as you saw. It's all very simple to do. A lot of easy cuts. You can go around and add any kind of little detail that you might choose. But it's a real easy, real quick exercise to do, and I think a good beginner project for anyone who's just getting the feel of whittling and maybe doesn't want to necessarily do a figure carving right from the get-go. This is a pretty simple thing. It gives you some practice in like we talked about, symmetry and your push and stop cuts, and actually it kind of is the beginning of some little figure carving too. What I like to do after all this is done and you go around and clean it up, I think another tool that's probably important in your wood carving thing is a little hand saw. I take the hand saw here and I'll just trim right here at the base and go around and then camfer that edge as well. So as you can see here, we're all done. It's a simple little project and enjoyable, fun to do. And if you have any questions and any comments you'd like to make, feel free to leave them down in the description and I'll do my best to get back to you. Enjoy your whittling and have a good day. Thank you.